Okay.
That's
So
new.
everyone, it's a new thing. I think that apparently Zoom must have gotten some legal trouble. So you have to push continue to agree to have yourself recorded. I noticed that's need to come up. All right, well, welcome everyone to Midwest Writing Center's annual meeting. It's May 26, 2021, but this meeting basically covers 2020. So that sometimes gets a little confusing, even for me. It's great to see everyone here. This is a way better turnout than we had last year, which, as you probably surmised, we had to kind of cancel at the or put it on Zoom at the last minute, so it's hard to get the word out to get a lot of people. So it's so nice to see all of you here. We just have like a short program, some business items to take care of, votes to do, and then I will turn it over to Sarah at the appropriate time to lead you through our reading, our preview of our anthology coming out. So I will call the meeting to order right now. I kind of already welcomed everyone. So for our board members, I will do a roll call, and if you just kind of give me a wave or something to say you're here, that would be great. Dave Cahoon, yeah, he's here. Susan Collins, saw her. There she is. Laura Davis. Yeah, I don't think she's here. Tara Foltz, saw her. So these would be people who were on the board from 2019 to 2020. Emily Kingery, she's here. Rochelle Murray. Hi, Rochelle, so great to see you. Beth Roberts. I don't think she's here. Philip Goldfarb Stewart, I saw him, yep, hi. And Misty Urban. And then we have our executive board, myself, Jody Tui, I'm here. Angela Campbell, saw her, yep. Mary David Saver, I think she's out of town, so she's not here. And Jay Pasateri here. No, Jay's not here. And then we have an attorney, Roger Strandland, probably not here. And that's it. And we also have Ryan here and Sarah, who are our employees. All right, so with that, I'll just give a few remarks. I won't read like everything because I have a president's report in the annual report, which you are will be getting or will have access to very soon. But I just wanted to point out a couple of things. So I am proud to say in 2020, with all of the challenges everyone went through, that we did, I believe anyway, fare better than some organizations, and we were able to pivot quickly and continue our mission of fostering appreciation of the written word, supporting and educating its creators without too much of a delay either. So the Midwest Writing Center Board of Directors continues to adapt to our changing times by furthering our transition into more of a governing entity, relying more and more on paid help from our executive director, assistants, graphic specialists, marketing assistants, and interns. During our recent strategic planning process, the board voted to eliminate the requirements that board members serve as chairs of our committees and that they must volunteer an average of 5 hours per month. More restructuring and I made that word up. More restructuring and reevaluating will be completed in the coming months as the board prepares to transition into a new president at the end of this time next year. So yeah, so hopefully if there's anyone out there that maybe thought, well, that's a little bit much to ask from a board member, that kind of prohibits you from wanting to join in the past. Yeah, we don't require as much now. It's a little bit more less involved. So yeah, let us know if you're interested in helping. And we're always looking for volunteers for our committees as well. So speaking of change, it is with a touch of sweetness that Rochelle Murray says goodbye to active board service to assume the role of board member emerita. I think it is safe to say that Rochelle has been an integral part of MWC, and it may not be here today without her dedication and passion to the written word. Rochelle served as the children's librarian for the Davenport Public Library for 45 years. She is one of the original members of the board, having joined in 1980. Over the years, she has led and or spearheaded many programs and fundraising events, including the Children's Literature Festival, Birdies for Charity, the Legacy Society, and she has served on many committees, serving as longtime chair of the Advancement Committee. Rochelle will be missed as a regular board member, but we are so thankful she will be able to keep involved and to keep advising us as a board member emerita, and that we can still call on her when we need someone talked into reducing a price or donating some items. I didn't know, Rochelle, if you'd like to say anything. Otherwise, you don't have to. You just need to unmute yourself. You need to unmute yourself.
Hear me?
There you go. Yep, now we can hear you.
Okay. Well, I just want to say the joy of living comes from the satisfaction of serving, and I certainly have enjoyed all the many years I have seen the Midwest Writing Center grow. We've grown by leaps and bounds. Sometimes we've had good times and sometimes bad, but we always come back fighting. And I'm looking forward to being able to relax and to watch what's happening. It'll be nice to sit back and see what the board is doing. I know it's going to be in good hands with our director and his staff, as well as the rest of the board.
Great. Thank you, Rochelle. Yeah, enjoy your time. That it's well deserved for sure.
Thank
yeah,
you.
Don't be a stranger. All right. We also need to take a moment to acknowledge another longtime member of our board of directors, Max Mullen, who passed away on October 8th, 2020. Max was an active member of the board until 2016, when he also assumed the board member emeritus status. You can read more about Max and also Dick Stahl, who is one of our long-term members who passed away actually in 2020, but prior to the annual meeting last year, and also Roll Tweet, who is a longtime friend of MWC. There's a little, when you get the annual report, there's a little tributes on them for them. So hopefully you'll read through that. So in 2020, despite the pandemic, we provided over 5,000 instances of service, including views over live stream and recorded content. Most of these would not have been possible without the support of our generous grantors and sponsors, which include Scott County Regional Authority, Modern Woodmen of America, Quad City Community Foundation, Illinois Art Council Agency, Mel McKay Charitable Trust, Illinois Humanities, Mary Iva Gittens Naus Charitable Trust, Community Foundation of the Great River Bend, Regional Development Authority, Bi-State Literary Council, Roush Family Foundation, the Moline Foundation, Birdies for Charity, Dr. Nicholas Chamans, and the St. Ambrose University English Department. I also want to acknowledge some partnerships. We're always looking to form partnerships with other organizations to help mutually increase the reach. So I would like to just acknowledge our partnerships with Exotic Imports, the Book Rack, Ross Talks, the Rock Island Public Library, the Moline Public Library, the Iowa City Public Library, Bi-State Literacy Council, the Figge Art Museum, Living Proof Exhibit, Camp Genesis, Family Resources, the St. Ambrose English Department, and the Indigenous Peoples Art Gallery and Cafe and programs that have helped us on our programs and events throughout the year. So those are kind of my little remarks. You can read more in the annual report when you get it. This time, I would like to recognize their Legacy Society members. And our Legacy Society is, it's a self-identified group of people who have made provisions for MWC in some sort of investment, whether it's final distribution of a estate or a CD or something like that. And those members are, so our Legacy Society members are currently Susan Collins, Mary Foster, Trisha Uriu, Sal Marici, Tom and Joyce McKay, and Rochelle Murray. So if you have made any provisions for MWC and any of your investments, please let us know so we can recognize you the way you deserve. I'd also like to recognize our Emeritus and Emerita board members. These are board members who have served at least 3 terms of 3 years on our board. And they are Mary Foster, Nancy Hayes, Rich Miller, and Mark Peterson. And then after tonight, Rochelle Murray, of course, will be on that list as well. And then I already talked about our sponsors. Our board member introductions. I would just kind of introduce and maybe give a wave if people can look for the little wave for who the person is. So I'm Jody Tui, as I said, and I am currently the president of the board. Angela Campbell is the vice president. There she is. Mary David Saver has been our current secretary. She is not here. And then Jay Positeri is our treasurer. And then our other board members are current board members are Dave Cahoon, Susan Collins. She is Tara Foltz. She's in there somewhere. Emily Kingery. There she is. Rochelle Murray. And Philip Goldfarb Sturt and Misty Urban. So those are our current board members as of this moment. So I'd just like to thank everyone for their help and service over the last year and however long you've been on the board. So our new business, every year we are required to vote in the maximum number of our board, our number of board members. And I think there's a typo in there because I thought that we agreed on 11. Is that correct? It's correct. Okay. So at this time, I would like to make a motion that the MWC Board of Directors will not exceed 11 in number. Who would like to second that?
I'll second.
Looks like Misty. I saw her first. So Misty Urban seconds. And then all in favor say aye, and you can do that by like waving yes or putting a thumbs up or. All right, great. Anybody opposed? All right, so that passes. So our board will have 11 board members. The next thing on the agenda is to elect the Midwest Writing Center Board of Directors. So I will, these are the board members who are who have agreed to continue another year on the board. They are Dr. Emily Kingery, Jay Positeri, Angela Campbell, Susan Collins, myself, Misty Urban, Tara Foltz, and I apologize, Philip, that you're not on that list, but it should be 2023 Philip Goldfarb Sturt on there as well. And then also, so I would like to, so those are our current board members that are going forward. And then we also have 2 board members that we are nominating to the board tonight. They are Jonathan Turner, who I'm guessing most people are familiar with. He's been around a lot in the newspaper and been a big help with MWC, and we look forward to having them. If you want to say anything, you are welcome to, but you don't have to. John.
That's okay. I'm using my son's computer. Josh is my son, and he's Nick Grinnell. He's been working from home, but it's a great honor to be nominated. I appreciate the invitation.
All right, great, thank you. And then our other nomination is Lisa Powell Williams, and she is from the Mobley Library. And say anything if you don't want to, but you can if you want to. You're good. I can't hear you. Yeah, we can't hear you, Lisa. Or I can anyway. I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, we can't hear you, but that's okay. All right, so with those nominations, are there any nominations to the board of directors from the floor? I don't see anybody clamoring. Okay, so I would make that motion to approve the continuance of the board members I mentioned, as well as welcome Lisa and Jonathan to our board. Anybody want to second that? Looks like Angela saw her first, so Angela seconds. Put this down. All in favor say, is there any questions, discussion, or anything like that? Comments? right, doesn't look like it. All in favor, wave or thumbs up or aye. All right, anybody opposed? No, so looks good. So yeah, we welcome you, Jonathan and Lisa, to our board, and we are grateful to have you and can't wait to work with you. All right, on the agenda is our consent agenda, which is comprised of the minutes from our meeting held last year, our treasurer's report. I think these sent out to the board. Did you guys get a chance to look at any of these? Yeah, I would look at them then. But I think what was sent last month. So I will go ahead. Okay, you're all frozen on me. Did you lose me? Okay.
We still
All right.
have
So,
you.
okay. Everybody froze for a minute. So maybe it's me. Okay. So I made a motion to approve the consent agenda. Anybody want a second? I see Misty seconds. And then any questions, discussion, anything like that? All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Wave. Hello. And anybody opposed? Nope. Great. So that's that. So the next thing that I would like to do is to recognize our volunteers. As you might imagine, it's been a little bit challenging with volunteers because it's hard to use too many volunteers and everything's online, but we still have several that have helped and we greatly appreciate that. So we want to recognize them. So the volunteer who helped us in 2020 were Mike Bales. And we'll, giving you like a pretend certificate. So yeah, usually have certificates, but kind of hard to, send those to the internet. Mike Bales was a volunteer. He was served on the programming committee. Dave Cahoon, he was on the board and also helps us out with the store exotic imports. Angela Campbell, who has been our vice president and has graciously agreed to continue one more year. Ryan Collins is our executive director, of course. Susan Collins has been on the board and also served on lots of committees and lots of things. Mary David Saver has served as our secretary. Laura Davis, she is a former board member and helps us with the advancement committee. Sarah Elgatian, who is also our marketing and programming specialist. Tara Foltz, board member, and also she has graciously agreed to lead the advancement committee from now on. Dr. Emily Kingery, she's on the board and has served as chair of the programming committee and is on the committee currently. Steve Lackey, who helps us with our the Saturday, what's that called again? The Saturday writing group. I can't remember the name, sorry. Michelle Ladwig, JT Lloyd, Sal Marici, who is on our programming and promotion committee, and he also helps, basically runs the Great River Rider Retreat. Rochelle Murray, who you've already been introduced to. Michelle Upsall, who helped us with the programming committee. Rick Pa, who is our go-to savior for IT support. Jay Pasateri, our treasurer, and helps us more with other financial things as well. Beth Roberts, she has been a board member and also served on the programming committee. Philip Goldfarb-Sturt, who is he's been on our board and on our programming committee as well. Kathy Taylor, myself, Misty Urban, who is a board member on the programming committee, has graciously agreed to take over chairing that committee, and also was the driving factor behind and has done most everything for the anthology, which we'll get a sample of in just a couple of minutes. Teresa Guillot Voss, and she was on the programming committee, and Morgan Webb. And one thing I forgot to do with the nominations was, I'm not sure if we need an official nomination, but we can do it anyway. So I would like to make a motion to appoint or accept Philip Goldfarb-Sturt to the executive board direct position of secretary. Any wants a second? Looks like Angela second that one again. And any questions, discussions? All right, great. All in favor? Aye, wave thumbs. Great. Anybody opposed? No. Okay. I think that's the rest of the executive board is staying the same. So, all right, moving on. So now is the part that everybody's been waiting for, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'll turn it over to Sarah for this, and because she knows what we're doing and I don't. So we'll have the reading from the anthology, and then we'll do the door prize. So I'll turn it over to you, Sarah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Actually, Misty is going to do a little talking first. I will put again in the chat the order of readers.
I told you I didn't know what's going on.
This is the last minute. Sarah and I have been playing hot potato. Who gets the honor of introducing the anthology? I'm Misty Urban. I'm on the board. Hi, everyone. It's so good to see all of these faces. I wish we were meeting in person, but here we are, maybe soon. Congratulations to our new board members. We're so delighted to have you. Congratulations, and thank you to our ongoing board members. Thank you, Rochelle. I just had to get all of my thanks and gratitude out there. So I have had the great pleasure of putting together the anthology that the Midwest Writing Center Press is going to release soon, and I promise it's going to be soon. It's currently called These Interesting Times, Surviving 2020 in the QC. I see a lot of people here who have contributed. Your work's been amazing. I'm so glad that we get to preview some of it tonight. Thank you for your contributions. Thank you for your words. I'm hoping that we'll have some proofs to send you soon so you can look over and get back to us. For those who are just learning about the anthology, I want to kind of tell you a little bit about the story behind the story. I promise this won't go more than 1 minute. And then we get to hear some of the amazing words that were in it. So this was actually the brainchild of Susan Collins. I have to give credit where credit is due. And she suggested a while ago we should have some historical record about how really awful 2020 was. And we said, yeah, it was a disaster. And so we began this book partly with the intention of making a historical record. And one thing we found early on, while the challenges of 2020 were universal, the coronavirus has made just this astonishingly profound rip in the social fabric. And the only comparison I can think of is people who have gone through the 1918 influenza epidemic or World War II or the Great Depression. Maybe they've dealt with something the same way, but certainly my generation never had. Yet for each of us, the experience of surviving 2020 is so unique. I'm a medievalist, so I kept thinking of the Black Death and the plague that swept through Europe and decimated the population. So we wanted to hear those stories. And as I said in editorial discussions, we kept calling it the disaster anthology. But what we were really looking for were tales of resilience, tales of triumph. We wanted to find connection in our isolation. We wanted suggestions for how people had healed and how they had survived being battered by all these events. So what you'll find in what follows is that through humor and the close observation of the poet, the epiphany of the essayist, or the deep human truth of story, we wanted a way to let people see into each other's experiences and discover they were never alone. So the editorial board and I had the pleasure of reading so much interesting and wonderful and really touching work. We chose the pieces we did for what they convey about what it felt like to live in this strange dystopian world that was 2020, this enormous break from normalcy, this alternate reality, if you will. And we chose each piece for the way it offers understanding and connection. So here it is, our disastrous liberation, our sufferings and our hope, the debris of 2020 tossed into the air and whipped around and shaped into something revelatory and healing and true. I hope you'll enjoy hearing these testimonies as to what we've survived as much as I've enjoyed reading them.
I didn't know you had something like all prepared. That was beautiful.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I worked all day on this.
A really good thing I didn't do that. So our first reader is going to be, I just pulled something up on my screen. It was a huge mistake. I'm sorry, everyone. Our first reader today is going to be Lo Whittington, a transplanted New Yorker who taught elementary school for nearly 20 years before retiring. Her greatest hope is that one of her students will redeem her career by winning a Nobel Prize or becoming a Supreme Court justice. I did not know that about you, Lo, and that you have teacher written all over you. So I love that. I'm going to share the screen for you as you asked, and you can take it away.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, great. You've got it up there. That's wonderful. Thank you. Could I do the today in COVID? Sarah, first? Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Thanks so much. And thanks so much for this year for the Midwest Writing Center. It's just really been a found pleasure for me. And it's just really been so sustaining. I can't tell you. And just, everything this year is just better because of that. So, and like last year, we were all stuck at home. We were all in a state of wondering what was happening, what was going to happen. And I found myself spending quite a lot of time on my screen porch with occasional wasp who would get stuck in there for days. And this was today in COVID. Dear wasp on my screen porch, I've been watching you tirelessly exploring the same corner all week. I'm wondering about your life here and what expectations you have for our cohabitation. You've kept a gallant game going there in the corner, all on your own, tapping the same filament of screen against the endless sky on the other side. Unlike me, also pegged to this house, you exhibit no panic, no detectable desire to be elsewhere. The sky beyond your patch of screen seems an idea. It will wait for you. You can live near it. Nothing you have to achieve. I've come to admire that. So let me ask you, do I appear as resigned to my confines as you? And more to the point, am I of some slightly greater concern to you since I've bought the spray can of flying insect killer? What are we here, you and I? I'd like to know before I do anything rash. And if the year wasn't bad enough, we had murder hornets. And this was as if it wasn't bad enough, there's another form of media terror that we were exposed to, or at least I wasn't bad enough living with the wasp on my screen porch. So this was actually from a class I took on odes, and it's not quite an ode, but it's sort of, anyway. Murder hornets. What form of hell has this year not already been that you are bold enough to crawl into it, imagining perhaps there is room for bee killing, more stinging? Even fire ants contain their treachery to places they can crawl. But you, not content with the salt of the earth, the reach of ankles, the hooves of baby calves, or mislaid picnics, you spread 2-inch wingspans, take flight, make everything between heaven and earth your own, tearing the heads off entire hives of bees. What fresh savagery is this? Don't attempt disclaimer with Vespin agendas against our insistent anthropomorphic moralities. This has been a century of a year already. We are in no mood, and we are a ruthless species ourselves, all too capable of ravaging the earth of pests and everything else, come to think of it. We have triumphed in small matters before. Even now, amidst a pandemical virus, we will find your Achilles wing and tear it off. Sarah, I sent you a third one. I don't know whether we have time, but we can go skip it. It was the one I wrote about coming back after COVID.
Yeah, no, we're just doing the ones for the
Great. Thanks.
anthology, but thank you so much. Those were beautiful.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone. And thanks to Midwest Writing Center. It's a great organization.
Well, we love hearing that, and we love having you involved. Thank you so much. Our next reader is Frank Mullen. Frank Mullen III. Frank's columns have been published in Midwestern newspapers. His witticisms have appeared in the Washington Post and the Chicago Tribune. His prize-winning poetry has been read on NPR, and his exaggerated sense of self-importance has alienated him from his neighbors in Aledo, Illinois. Frank, take it away, please.
Well, thank you. Hope you all can hear me. And
we can hear you.
This is good. This is a bit of cancel culture, a pan diary. Small Midwestern towns specialize in gossip, good, clean American gossip, the kind that almost qualifies as a public service. Your local paper will tell you what is happening, corn roast, where, the Legion Hall, and when, Thursday afternoon at 5, unless Larry forgets to open the building again, and we have to send someone down to the cozy corner to get the key. But the paper will rarely tell you the why behind the news. We're roasting corn because Larry's ability as a barbecue chef are no better than his talent at remembering to unlock buildings. In late March, the governor of Illinois announces plans to close everything down and quarantine us all. A few days before the shutdown date, my town's overstressed gossip chain blows a gasket and can't keep up with the details. It'll just last a few days. We'll be in isolation for a week. Actually, it's going to be more like 2 weeks. As a pessimist, I consider the 2-week lockdown most likely. Fortunately, I'm plugged into the information hub, the rumor locus of small town gossip, the library. I used to work in our local library and learned that there is very little difference between the jobs of librarian and rumor mill operator. 15 volumes of the Encyclopedia Britannica won't provide you with as much useful information as a woman checking out the latest Nora Roberts novel. The day before shutdown, I stopped by the library and asked Judy what's what. We used to work together, and she's a straight shooter with the gossip gun. She tells me that a state employee has just left with a carton of detective stories, telling her that the statewide quarantine will last even longer than the 2-week projection. I sweep through the shelves and fill my own carton of books. I spent a good portion of my life smoking and drinking like the sailor I was. As a result, I have to deal with more medical problems than a St. Louis hospital emergency room on Saturday night. I'm a prime candidate for catching the coronavirus and responding poorly to it. After consulting with Joe, my wife and retired health professional, we decide to take the quarantine seriously. I'll stay home except for necessary appointments, and Joe will go out only for vital errands. My April days and nights at home give me time to ponder something all recovering alcoholics know about: acceptance. Life is full of things you hate, unfair things you don't deserve. They may be character lessons from God or just random roadblocks on the highway. Either way, to fight unfairness is to wage war against reality without armor, weapon, or hope. Whatever it is, you don't have to like it. You just have to accept it. I keep this in mind as it becomes obvious that we're all going to spend a few weeks, maybe even a couple of months, barricaded in our fortresses. Surprisingly, I go a step further and look on the bright side. I'm unaccustomed to the sight. Usually, I let problems sit undisturbed, dark side up, so they can fester and decay. But I breathe in the fairy dust of optimism that has blown in from parts unknown. I see the impending isolation less as punishment than as opportunity. Oh, the novels you'll write, Frank, the songs you'll compose, the stories, the memoirs, the poems, the prose. Others will sulk and complain, but not you, so shift into gear, Frank. You've so much to do. I decide to start with a letter to my local newspaper, lauding the communities in my area for their clear, principled response to the emergency. My town shut down its restaurants even before the governor's closure orders. Local pastors have canceled in-person church services. Joe tells me everyone in town is wearing masks. We're all doing our part, making the small sacrifices that will get us through. However, I am a Mullen. Mullens are widely known as people of the idea, strong on good intentions, but weak on the follow-through. I never get around to congratulating rural Illinois on its unity. I will soon be glad of this. When I'm not writing trilogies or symphonies, I'm reading. That last day in the library, I checked out the entire Elvis Cole and Joe Pike detective series. Elvis is a nice guy who gets along with everyone. Joe is a less nice guy who gets what he wants by kicking butt. I spent my life as an Elvis, but I can see Joe in my future. I moved through the series faster than I'd expected. I seem to read faster when my reading is not interrupted by things that are not reading. I also brought home The Stand. Decades ago, I read this, Stephen King's 800-page opus. Now I have time to read the original version, the one his publisher made him cut in half so the book wouldn't weigh 30 pounds. It's about a deadly virus that governments cannot control, that kills whomever it contacts, that has no cure, that causes disunity and war among its survivors. Reading this novel during the worst public health crisis in a century turns out to be as sensible as my preteen habit of watching Saturday night horror movies right before bedtime. I dreamed of the fangs of Dracula and woke to the howls of werewolves. Now I'm dreaming of death, destruction, and stark evil from which no one can escape. Sometimes I get so involved in the story that I forget whether I'm reading a novel or the Chicago Tribune. Speaking of newspapers, my Mullen laziness has spared me from the embarrassment I would have suffered if I'd written that letter in praise of our patriotic willingness to spit in the face of adversity. I'm learning that the "we're all in this together" slogan is giving way to an alternative battle cry, every man for himself. People are tired of wearing masks. Social distancing, which once required we stay 6 feet away from one another, has been redefined. Just stay a spatula's length away from others and nobody complains. Stores have put arrows on their floors, directing shoppers to move about the aisles without endangering one another. Sadly, some shoppers ignore this guidance. So, do you follow the arrows or go with the anti-arrow flow? Deciding whether or not to follow society's laws and norms is not a clear matter of knowing right from wrong. If you've ever driven on I-80 west of the Quad Cities, when the 18-wheelers are running behind schedule, you know the quandary. Is it better to disregard the speed limit and drive at Mach 3 like everybody else so you don't get squashed under a Peterbilt 337? Or is it better to obey the law, drive the speed limit, and get squashed under a Peterbilt 337? Navigating the paper goods aisle at Walmart presents a similar question. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. And it made me realize how exactly long last year was. I remembered The Stand, they made a TV show of that came out last year. And I was like, wait, that feels like a decade ago. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Now I have to find keep switching screens. I'm very bad about this. Next up, we have Dylan Parker, a lifelong Quad citizen born in Davenport. After graduating from St. Ambrose University with a Bachelor of Arts in Philosophy, he worked blue-collar jobs, including Mississippi River barge deckhand and semi-truck diesel mechanic. He currently lives in Rock Island, Illinois with his wife, Tia, and their 3 children, Ava, Cameron, and Antigone. Dylan, take it away.
Hello, everybody. Can everyone hear me? All right, good to see. Thank you for inviting me here this evening. Thank you for accepting my piece. Very excited to be included in the anthology. I'm probably the most newbie person here. I guess I don't really know anybody here, so maybe there's other new people, but I have not done a lot of writing, or at least I haven't done a lot of writing since college. And I came to one of the annual meetings of the Midwest Writing Center like a decade ago because my roommate got an award when we were doing Garage 3, if anyone remembers Garage 3. But yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me, and I hope you enjoy my piece this evening. I've been thinking of becoming a mechanic. I used to be one. Loved it, but then I didn't. I bet it'd be easy for me to get back into it. The guys from Local 150 could probably get me a job. Then I'd have a union this time, at least. Still have all my old tools. I use them to this day in my garage. I've got a 1983 Yamaha XS650 torn apart all the way down to the crankshaft at home. Bought it last year since my old XS850 hadn't ran in years. I meant to fix that one too. I broke the carburetors while trying to clean them one time. I got too excited to have a motorcycle again when I bought the new one. 40 years old, not exactly new. And I rushed taking it for a test drive. I overlooked the large oil leak coming out of the crankcase. Oh well, I can fix it. It's cold now though, and I don't feel like working on it anymore. Maybe when it warms up outside, I'll get back to it. That's what I always told myself about the XS850 though. Never did get around to it. Finally sold it to a kid I met on Reddit for a couple $100. I was a good mechanic, or at least I was good at what I did. Never was much of a gearhead, contrary to the popular understanding of mechanics. I'm a skinny guy. Trying to pick up a new clutch from the ground and huff it onto the output shaft of an engine never worked out well for me. I was a diesel mechanic, heavy-duty 15-liter semi-truck engines, the big stuff. I was a little guy working on huge machines. No, I preferred diagnosing problems and undertaking complete rebuilds. When a truck rolled in with a check engine light, I was their guy. I could hook up the shop computer and identify a failed turbocharger just by watching the specs during a regen. The pressure difference between the diesel particulate filter's input and output sensors would be off since the catalyzer couldn't get hot enough. Lots of guys would misdiagnose it by thinking the after-treatment fuel injector had malfunctioned or something like that. It was always the turbo. Cummins had a particular problem with their turbos. They would wear out, resulting in insufficient exhaust gas recirculation, preventing the after-treatment injector's fuel from catalyzing. I always thought it was crazy that in order to ensure cleaner exhaust leaving semi-trucks, they actually sprayed raw fuel into the exhaust stream after the explosions took place inside the cylinders, like spraying water onto a forest fire that had already extinguished itself by running out of fuel. Anyway, I always knew it was the turbocharger. I'd easily squeeze out replacing over $10,000 worth of parts when it was covered by warranty. The engineers understood what I was saying. Turbo ain't squeezing the air tight enough to atomize the fuel in the catalyst to burn out the particulate filter. The whole system's bad. It all needs replaced. Filters got too full of ash to be cleaned. Catalyzers burnt itself out and the turbo's warm. Bada bing, bada boom. Yeah, that was the stuff I loved to do as a mechanic. That and complete engine teardowns, disassembling those massive 15-liter engines down to every nut and bolt that held it together. There was something about seeing the ideal of an engine transformed into a bunch of individually useless bits of metal that intrigued me. I liked learning how it all worked in synchrony, and then being able to put it all back together like some heavy metal conductor. It all got really boring, however. You can only diagnose a failed turbocharger or rebuild an engine so many times before it's just blind repetition. I hate repetition. It always makes me feel like there's something I'm missing. Might be why I quit going out to the garage to continue working on my XS 650. It got boring. No, it's just the cold. I'll get back out there in the spring. My dad was an auto mechanic. I only have vague memories of him being one, however, as he went and got himself a midlife college education and moved into a cushy desk job in IT. He was also not a gearhead. He didn't take side jobs, nor did he have wrench hobbies, classic cars or the like. No, he was into bicycling and computers. To everyone's surprise, he lived through 2020. In fact, like some kind of cosmic gesture, he died January 1st, 2021. The home hospice nurse told us on New Year's Eve that Dad wouldn't make it through the night. I remember sitting by his bed at 11 o'clock, holding his hand and swabbing his mouth with a sponge, thinking to myself, you crazy son of a bitch, you're actually gonna make it. He did. Not by much though. My brother woke me at 6 a.m. on New Year's Day with a phone call that Dad had finally passed. I guess he didn't want 2020 to claim him. Can't blame the guy. 2020 took enough as it was. He started home hospice back in July. I can't believe it was July. I would have guessed October. Not sure why. I guess it doesn't feel like he was in hospice for nearly half a year, though everything in 2020 seemed to have progressed both painfully slow and incredibly fast. For 5 months, I'd visit him every afternoon. Most days usually consisted of helping him figure out why his Bluetooth mouse and keyboard had disconnected from his computer. I recently counted 4 computers and their associated monitors, USB drives, and additional technological paraphernalia while helping my mom clear out his office. It was obvious that my 70-year-old father didn't need that many computers, but he had collected them over the years. In fact, after being admitted to home hospice, my dad decided his before dying goal was to organize the thousands of digital photographs he had accumulated through his late in life hobby. Said photographs had been saved, copied, edited, and stored across all these computers. He concluded, however, that he didn't need all the keyboards and mice. For his birthday, I purchased him a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse that was able to connect to multiple devices and switch between them with the click of a button. 4 separate keyboards and mice were consolidated into one. It was pretty slick. However, it never failed that I'd find him unable to communicate with any of his computers, having become confused and clicked the wrong button or unknowingly disconnected from one of the devices. I'd find him hunched over his desk, staring off with an all too familiar foggy gaze, helpless to his deteriorating condition. One time, I asked him if he was mad at his fate. He told me no, except for times when he was unable to execute a mental task he had initiated. His existence was tragedy, completely conscious of his capacity, yet unable to access it. This was compounded when his body began failing him too. At the end, he was too rigid to do anything but lay in bed and occasionally sit up to chat when I visited him. He was still in there though, trapped by his neurons. As the end approached, I sent my uncle a Facebook message updating him on my father's status. It prompted an enjoyable discussion regarding my dad and his life. My uncle shared some context of my dad's decision to become a mechanic. Prior to that, as I knew, he had enrolled in the University of South Dakota's art program. I've got old posters drawn by him hung up in my house. Far before my existence, my dad was a long-haired student that engaged in guerrilla art. He once shared how he filled the windows of the university's pottery studio with a large banner that read, "A good beer is better than good pottery." Kind of an Abby Hoffman vibe, though apolitical. No, my dad didn't actively participate in the anti-Vietnam movement, but he did enjoy the philosophy, art, and thinking of postmodernism. My uncle explained that he saw my dad's decision to drop out of art school and learn how to fix cars as a rejection of their father's world of ideas. Grandpa was a minister turned English professor who ultimately returned to preaching. He was always chasing heavenly concerns of truth, morality, justice, and love. I can relate to my dad's decision. After graduating with degrees in both philosophy and behavioral neuroscience, I decided to work on a farm, Mississippi River tugboats, and ultimately an auto shop too. To some extent, it was a curiosity for that which cannot be learned within the halls of academia, stuff like grit. Though there's plenty of philosophy in fixing cars too. In the 90s, my dad distributed a family newsletter wherein he shared updates on the likes or on the matters of potty training statuses of me and my brother, but also lengthy diatribes on chaos theory and metaphysics. He called it Joe's Garage, where he took the alter ego of a greasy mechanic that kept the cosmic machines of quantum physics in operation. My uncle suggested that members of our family are cursed with a perverse tendency to not follow a clear path to success. We accept some kind of mystic determination and embrace our existential contradictions. He shared that my father had once dubbed this nihilistic romanticism. Whatever you want to call it, I think he's right. As far as I can tell, everything in life boils down to diagnosing a millionth failed turbocharger. I shared this conversation with my dad. It was closer towards the end, and the reality of his mind becoming entombed within his ailing nervous system was quite apparent. We chatted about it for a bit. Perhaps I shouldn't use the term chatted, as my father's communication was reduced to spelling out words by pointing to a printed alphabet. It made for very slow dialogue. I was getting ready to leave, but I could tell he was trying to say something. For a moment, I became worried that he was in an uncomfortable position or needed another dose of morphine. Eventually, he was able to blurt out pragmatic idealism. The man spent most of his days sleeping in bed, but he felt it important enough to ensure the record was corrected. My father was a pragmatic idealist, not a nihilistic romantic. When COVID hit the States in early 2020, Congress passed the Families First Coronavirus Relief Act. This legislation allowed workers who had lost access to kids' childcare to take emergency paid leave for up to 12 weeks at 2/3 their rate of pay. My wife was working on the front lines as a registered nurse in the ICU, and I was stuck working from home with our kids. Immediately upon learning about the paid leave option, I opted to not try and juggle work and childcare responsibilities and took a 12-week semi-paid leave of absence. The whole world felt like it was falling apart. My wife and I were discussing whether she should live in a hotel so as to avoid unintentionally bringing the virus home. Businesses were being shut down, and we were ordered to shelter in place by the governor. However, at the same time, I didn't answer a single email for weeks on end. My 3-year-old and I started a daily pilgrimage around the neighborhood, facilitating a stroller nap time, but also simply enjoying being outside. We explored every nook and cranny of our neighborhood and the neighborhood surrounding ours. I listened to books on tape, painted several rooms in our house, started playing Dungeons and Dragons over the internet with a frequency not seen since high school. I had nothing to do and nowhere to be. It was liberation. It was freedom. I absolutely loved it. Eventually, the kids were able to return to their childcare, and I went back to work. But I was left with a profound sense of uncertainty. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Nietzsche wrote about an eternal recurrence. He hypothesized that after death, we simply relive the same life we depart. Not in a progressive sense like Hinduism's reincarnation, wherein we return as some other kind of being living a different life, but that we repeat every second of our life into infinity. For example, I've sat down to write this an infinite number of times before, in previous lives, and I will do so again in the next lives. It either prompts a terror of having a heavenly promise revoked, or a peace of being content with every second of one's life. If we are condemned to live every moment of this life ad infinitum, Are we making the very best use of our time? Or even more than that, it's not like we can choose in this hypothesis to do something else since we've already done it before. So we are left to simply accept the reality of things and savor in our experience. Some may call it a curse, but I don't see it that way. I don't think my dad did either. I've been thinking about becoming a mechanic. In a lot of ways, I miss the old gig. I like the physical demand and the sense of accomplishment that accompanies labor. I still bristle when my friends tease me for being white collar. I prefer the company of workers and am more comfortable in overalls than a sports jacket. Am I just getting bored with my current path in life? No matter what I choose, will it all just be rebuilding motors? Was my dad satisfied with his life at the end? Will I be? It has become overwhelmingly apparent that the clock is ticking. I miss quietly sitting with my father and having no reason to speak. I miss walking with my daughter, having nowhere to go. Thank you.
My snapping was actually really loud and I had to stop it. Thank you so much. That was just beautiful. I feel like we all need to do like breathing together now. But instead of that, we'll have Genevieve read. Genevieve Trainor is an editor, critic, and creator based in Iowa City. As arts editor at Little Village magazine, Genevieve cultivates critical voices and engages diverse perspectives in cultural conversations. Genevieve loves comic books, stoner rock, arguing about politics, and spending time with Maddie, Calliope, DC, and occasionally Talia. I was so proud of myself for knowing how to say Antigone, and then we had Calliope come in. Genevieve, please take it away.
Thank you very much. I have a theme there with my kids' names, you can tell, with Calliope and Talia. I always tease my son that we should have named him Terpsichore, and he gets very angry at me. Anyway, thank you all for having me here today, and I'm so pleased to be in this anthology and to be here reading for you tonight. So this is a poem called Elegy for a Pandemic. I like to imagine that there are families who sing together at night, who grew closer in close quarters, who talk more than is necessary. And I know that there are far worse off. Families where children shoot themselves during online school, families where things unspeakable, not just unspoken, occur. Who knows who we would be if our lives hadn't been Katamari Damacy'd together. When we can breathe our own air again, this time won't just roll off our backs to be forgotten. It's part of us now, part of who we will always have been. The rage, the fear, the clinging together, that look etched on your face, the fading hope that the world can change. What is over to a disease that mutates at great speed? May our lives be as agile and unrelenting. Thank you.
Thank you. That was so, so beautiful. All of our readers tonight have been really incredible. I'm talking in my I really love this voice. But really, those were, those were all really, really beautiful. And I am so, so grateful to have heard this preview from the anthology. It's going to be a really, really beautiful book. Thank you, Misty and Sue, for putting that together, coming up with the idea, making it happen. I think it's Ryan's turn to talk. Oh, we can't hear you. Nope. Also, sorry about that. Ooh, everyone.
How about now?
Perfect.
Thanks, everybody. I made it through all of 2020 without having too much audio issues, and now every time I try to do this in the past couple weeks, it doesn't work, which is a real problem because the summer is the busiest time of the year at the Writing Center, as probably all of you know, or most of you know. If you don't know, now you know. We have our Young Emerging Writers program starting very soon. We've hired most of the interns that'll be participating, and obviously we have the conference, which we'll be doing a drawing for right now. Somebody else left. Sarah, do you know who it was? I'm trying to figure this out because I've got a list and I've got a random name selector here. We're gonna let since we let algorithms dictate our lives to such an enormous extent, we're just gonna let the computer do it today. We must already trust them, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. So here's the deal. So you have to be here to win. So if it selects somebody who's no longer here on the list, then yeah, that person won't be getting the prize. Also, I know a lot of board members are here. Board members, MWC Press authors, not eligible for this. That would be not the best look to do that. I know. I'm sorry. That would be unethical, even by algorithmic standards, I think. I'm not sure. I didn't look too deeply into it. And just before I do this real quick, thank you all so much for being here today. And thanks everybody who read from the anthology. That was really beautiful. As someone who had the good fortune to read some of those submissions and work just a little bit on this, on the poetry end of things, it was really great to hear these. I can't wait for the book to be out. I can't wait to do more things. We've got big plans for the anthology, so you all will be hearing more from us on that, and we're trying to get some events planned and release party stuff and other cool things. Last note, and yeah, definitely, so I want to second that. Thank you, Misty, for doing so much hustling to make this thing go. It's a lot of work. The annual report will be up online on our website tomorrow. I'm hoping. I'm waiting on a couple little tiny updates on the financial report, and then I'll pop that in, and then that'll be available to everybody. So it will be there. If you would like a copy emailed to you, just shoot me an email, let me know. I'm happy to send it to you directly. Otherwise, it will be up there sometime tomorrow for all the world to see. Thank you, Jody, for going through it so admirably. And thanks everybody who sent me reports that will be in the annual report. Okay, let's do this thing. So I think I got all the names. Like I said, if it draws a name for someone who's not here, we'll just do it again. That's okay. Who do we got? Lisa Roberts.
She just left.
Swing and a miss.
Bummer
For Lisa Roberts. That was poorly timed. Well, what are you gonna do? Hold on, that is also not. Okay, the list gets smaller. Here we go. We'll try it again.
But listen, your odds get better.
Exactly. Laura Fullerman. Is she still here?
I don't see her. Oh my goodness. Iowa City just doesn't want to be here.
Yeah, I mean, hustling backwards, I think is the phrase that Bomani Jones would use in this context, and he would be right. One more time, I guess. Okay, coolsies. Yeah, that's great. Strange choices we make. Lo Whittington.
Congratulations, Lo.
You are here and present, and you are the winner. So let me add that to my minutes. And if you just want to hang out for a minute after we get done, I can kind of fill you in on the details and stuff, and we can go from there.
Midwest Writing Center keeps on giving.
We try. Yeah, we
Thank you.
Yeah, we do this 3 times, usually every year for the conference, and this is the 3rd one. We did the other one. Well, we did one for Iron Pen, and then we did one at Spectra this Saturday, which was a supremely beautiful and magical night. So thank you for everyone who was there if you were there. And yeah, that's my bit. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you all so much for being here. This was really, really beautiful, especially for, a meeting. Do we need to officially adjourn?
All right. So I will thank you all for coming and congratulations, Lo. And it was a wonderful reading and we are officially adjourned. So thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
Did you want me to stay on? Audio.
Yes, thank you. I can go though if you want. No, you have no audio again.
No audio. Ah.
How about now?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Really testing my patience, this computer is today. Yeah, dangerous thing to do, especially for an inanimate object. Congratulations. So if you, I can send you a link, or maybe Sarah can send you
Okay.
a link.
Here's the thing.
Here's the thing.
I already signed up.
Okay.
Already signed up. And I kind of feel, and maybe I should have said this when everybody was on, but I kind of feel like maybe there's somebody else who really would like to do this and can't. I mean, it's already gone. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I mean, I just feel like there may be somebody you guys can think of, or.
So yeah, this has happened before. We have had winners donate their prize for like a scholarship person. We usually get, I think right now I've only received maybe one scholarship application, but we'll probably be getting more as we're getting closer to the conference.
Mhm.
So what I could do is I could put up that we have a scholarship. If there's like, I mean, usually when we do scholarships, they're like need-based, like financial need, like there's a little application that people fill out. But we've done other things. I know we did a workshop. We did a poetry workshop in the fall where we gave a full registration for that workshop to a BIPOC writer.
Mhm.
They just needed to sort of fill out kind of the same form.
Yeah.
We can do something like that. I would say it's up to you because you won. We're happy to. That's very generous, and we're happy to make that generosity available. But if you have a preference on how we would distribute that, we would obviously take your direction.
No, I think I would leave it up to you guys. You're at ground zero with this, so.
Okay.
I would leave it to you guys. I mean, you know your local population, you know more about like who your constituency is than I do, and also like which programs you want to promote more. I mean, like if this program needs more participants, go for this. That would be my thing, is go for this one. If not,
sure,
go somewhere else. I didn't want to say anything at the thing. Maybe I should have, but I didn't want to make it like a big deal.
It's okay. There were other people there who I know were registered. I couldn't remember everybody because I don't have it right in front of me because I'm at home and not at the office.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured that this might be a thing when I saw the people who were here.
Okay.
So what we can do, yeah, we'll figure that out and we'll make it available, and we will acknowledge you for making the donation.
Okay.
And I will let you know how it turns out.
Okay, great. Good.
Good. Thank you so much.
Timing. I think my fishermen just are arriving back from the lake. I'm here in Wyoming doing this. So.
Oh wow, awesome. That's great.
Perfect timing. They're just coming up the stairs in Jackson Hole. Yeah. And
outstanding.
Yeah.
Well, go enjoy the catch of the day.
Thanks.
And we will be in touch. We appreciate it very much. Thank you again.
All right. Bye. Bye, Sarah. Right. See you soon. See you Saturday. Good one. All right. Bye.
You can stop recording again, like I said, like 5 minutes ago.